Charlotte's mayor asked the public to not keep posting surveillance footage of a deadly stabbing gaining national attention. Mayor Vi Lyles calls that attack a senseless and tragic loss. Iryna Zarutska escaped the war in Ukraine with her family, and the video shows Decarlos Brown attack her with a pocket knife while riding the city's light rail. Records show Brown has a long record of criminal charges and psychiatric crises. A judge released him without bail in January after he called 911 from a hospital, and he reportedly claimed people were trying to control him. Congressman Tim Moore says Zarutska's blood is on the hands of everyone who enabled Brown to walk free.
I'm proud to co-chairwoman Stefanik's Keeping Violent Offenders Off Our Streets Act, which will make it harder for violent criminals to slip through the cracks and walk free without proper review.
Congressman Moore says the Keep Violent Criminals Off Our Street Act would end cashless bail, and it would could withhold federal funds from local governments refusing to follow the law.
What's going on, everybody? It's your brother New Breed coming through with another live stream. All right. As y'all enter the broadcast, make sure you hit the like button. We got to talk about this one. Hold on one moment, y'all. What's going on here? So, there's a lot to unpack here. Peace and blessings to everybody joining. I see y'all rolling in. Richie the Israelites in the building. Grace Hill, Real 80s, Jeffrey Sykes. I see Casper, Nina 84 is in the building. The Vitality Journal. Aloha King is in the building. What's happening, everybody? Listen, this story right here is definitely something we got to discuss. And I want to say this, first and foremost. That act that was conducted on that train was heinous. It was absolutely sick and deplorable. And, you know, I know that it's quite difficult for the public to really stomach what happened. And you have the North Carolina mayor saying that stop showing the video. Like literally, he's saying stop airing that video because it's creating a lot of trauma in people, as well as, you know, the victim is being, you got to think of the victim's family. You got to think of the victim's family to have to relive that moment. And so it is rather tasteless to keep on playing the full video and sharing it here and sharing it there. It's just not a good look at all. And that alone posed a lot of questions. And it posed a lot of questions because why is it being aired on Twitter or X, Instagram, various platforms? Why is the entire video being aired almost like a snuff film, almost like they keep showing people this? Why is that even allowed? Right? That's a question I have, right? Now, also, there's a lot going on with this story. There's a lot. And also, for those who don't know, this story, the train stabbing, is an older story. I mean, this happened about a month ago. So the fact that it is, you know, pretty much being aired now, it poses questions to me as well. Like, why all of a sudden this video is being aired now? And I can answer that question. And it's because they're trying to politicize it. And it seems like every time a situation happens, you know, an unfortunate situation, a travesty, why is it always politicized? Right? It's always politicized. And listen, there's a whole lot of parallels in this situation that align with Trump's agenda. Let's just be 100 about that. There's a lot of parallels that align with his agenda. The no cash bail system. You have a convicted felon who was dealing with mental issues and has been psychiatrically evaluated, let out into the public. And that just falls in line with more stricter federal enforcement, right? What Trump wanted. So, I think it's also rather tasteless that these situations end up being politicized. Now, it was just a very sick situation that we witnessed. And I want to really go in on this because there were some things that were said by the individual who did the stabbing. And this is well documented on his court documents. We talking about, they have it on court dossiers that he says, and you just seen it in the news clip, that someone is trying to control him. His claims are that someone implanted man-made technology in him, mind control technology, to make him do things that he has no control over. So that is interesting because, ladies and gentlemen, we've seen a lot of situations that pose a lot of questions where people do things randomly and there's no motive whatsoever. And I'm the type of person, I question everything. How about y'all? You brothers and sisters viewing of the truth intelligence community. Those who know that they can use these weapons, there's actual weapons, and we're going to talk about those weapons, to practice mind control on unsuspected victims, right? And I'm not trying to victimize this individual. Not at all. The dude is sick. He should have been in jail. He should have been in prison. He shouldn't have been roaming the streets. But there is technology out there called voice to skull technology, where they can turn an individual into a Manchurian candidate to go do the will of the powers that be. This stuff really exists. Willie Matthews, thank you for becoming a member. I appreciate your support. Now, I also want to point to some of the double standards because I got to go there. First and foremost, I find it rather strange that you got Russia out here obliterating Ukrainians right now as we speak. And there seems to be no outrage about that. But we have a Ukrainian refugee who's being plastered all over the media consistently. I just find that hypocritical. Why people aren't upset about all the Ukrainians who are getting obliterated by Russia as we speak. I mean, it's just something that I want to bring out. I mean, it's just something I noticed, right? And also, there's a lot of podcasters, there's a lot of streamers, there's a lot of people who are truly, I mean, man, look, ladies and gentlemen, there's a lot of people out there that are trying to put the onus on all melanated people. That's what they're doing, because it seems that when one random NPC maniac goes out here and does something completely out of pocket, wicked, and disgusting, it seems that social media then puts the onus on all of our people. Meanwhile, things like this are happening. Let me show y'all something. Hold on one moment. Because I just found a lot of, a lot of irony. When we have situations, hold on, let me see. Why didn't that share? Let's get it. One moment. And I want everybody to get the likes up on the video. All right, I don't know why that's not sharing. All right, what am I doing wrong here? Okay, let's try it that way. All right, you have situations like this where a knifeman who happened to be of Caucasian persuasion killed an 18-year-old in a random Bay Area subway attack after pouncing on two sisters without provocation, is arrested. And guess what? He was on parole. Now, the reason why I have to show y'all these double standards, because I'm trying to really express to you how warfare works. You have to dehumanize a group of people before you engage them. If they can make us the face of criminality, then nobody will give any pushback when they start ethnic purging, which they've already started ethnic purging. And this gets no news coverage. It gets no news coverage whatsoever. Now, I'm no way, shape, or form trying to defend the sick, heinous acts that individual committed against that woman. I got family in Charlotte, friends in Charlotte. They ride that train. We don't want these type of people out in the streets. So, looking at this, we have to ask a question. Why are we the face of criminality? Now, this individual here didn't get federally prosecuted either. It says he was sentenced to life for savagely stabbing an innocent black teenager, Nia Wilson, to death and trying to blank her sister at Bart Station. But crickets from the racist crowd on X. And that's true. It's true. So these things take place, and then we have to really analyze what's taking place. Now, that individual is going to get federal time. He's being held accountable. The person who did the crime, I don't even know the guy's name. What was the black guy's name? If y'all know it, y'all could put it in the chat. But nonetheless, he's being held accountable because why? He's doing Fed time. There's no video that I can do to possibly hold him accountable like the feds are going to hold him accountable. And I'm pretty sure he won't make it long there either. I'm pretty sure he won't. Yeah, and it fits Trump's narrative. I mean, ladies and gentlemen, it fits his narrative perfectly. Perfectly. It aligns with everything the mainstream media wants to push right now. And we're not paying attention to some of the things that these individuals have done, right? There's more. There's more. Because I really want to show y'all this. One moment. And ladies and gentlemen, make sure that we get the likes matching the viewership. All right. Because y'all know how they be getting down. Matter of fact, let's just do it this way.
beer bottle at a popular Albuquerque pizza restaurant.
And you know, this happened some time ago, but why wasn't this plastered all over the news?
Bond after allegedly slashing a child's neck with a beer bottle at a popular Albuquerque pizza restaurant.
Jason McNabb spoke with the little girl's father following the suspect's appearance in district court.
He did what? Slashed a child's neck with a beer bottle. Let's continue. And I don't want to show the graphic details of it. We do see
with only minor injuries.
Slashing a child's neck. Bond after allegedly slashing a child's neck with a beer bottle at a popular Albuquerque pizza restaurant.
Jason McNabb spoke with the little girl's father following the suspect's appearance in district court. He joins us live now with the story you'll see only on 7.
Well, Christiana, Ron, court documents say 24-year-old Nicholas Sansucci stabbed an 8-year-old girl in the neck at this Saggio's by UNM back on April 25th. The girl's father tells me they're extremely lucky that she was able to make it out with only minor injuries.
She's soaking wet, like what happened? And that's when she told me that someone had come up from behind and broke a beer bottle over her head.
Now, ladies and gentlemen, I'm just showing you that these type of acts, they are conducted by these individuals.
Where a gunman killed 10 people inside a grocery store and injured 3 others. All of this happening on Saturday. One of the victims is still in the hospital.
Investigators say the gunman was motivated by racial hatred and drove 200 miles to target black people while they shopped. We have team coverage for you on this tonight. Our Emma Henderson is live in Buffalo, where she spoke with a victim's family vowing to make change. And Isabel Lawrence spoke with Northeast Ohio leaders who are trying to combat hate here. But first, NBC's Chris Pallone has the latest on the massacre. Chris?
In Buffalo, a memorial to the 10 people killed in Saturday's massacre is growing outside the store where it happened. While just steps away, local and federal agents continue their search for evidence. Prosecutors are building a murder case against 18-year-old Peyton Gendron, the accused gunman who they say drove 200 miles to Buffalo specifically to kill black people.
From with all the evidence that we've gathered so far, the motivation at this stage appears to be pure hatred.
Now, a grieving community is pausing to remember 10 people whose lives were cut short.
It's an 86-year-old.
Now, you know, you can say what you want about the Democratic Party, right? Right? Who pander to black folks. They don't even politicize these type of situations to win black votes. What does that tell you? That they're all in on it. They won't even politicize these situations. But on the right-hand side, they will politicize any black crime. Yes, and this did happen a few years ago. And it happened to be a gentleman that was an inventor who happened to lose his life in this situation. It was a gentleman who was, I believe, making a machine that made water, pure drinking water, out of thin air. And he happened to get killed in this situation. I covered this. Which also points to another Manchurian candidate. It also points to another, perhaps MK Ultra mind control victim. And I hate to call them victims. I won't say that. They're because the acts they commit is just too heinous for me to even use that word. And I want y'all to get the likes up. They just knocked 25 people out of the room. I mean, they just bumped them out simultaneously. That's not realistic for it to happen that way. This is what they do on this platform. Y'all have to support it because I'm breaking this down so we can understand the race agenda against our people.
Year-old mother and grandmother, a man in the supermarket just buying cupcakes.
The distraught family of Ruth Whitfield, a beloved mother and grandmother, today called for people who radicalize white supremacists to be held accountable.
Took away my mother and my best friend. How dare you? How dare you? This needs to be fixed.
Investigators say the accused gunman specifically targeted this neighborhood because it's predominantly black and believe he planned to leave the market to find more victims before he was confronted and captured Saturday.
It's just absolutely.
Now, where's the National Guard when you need them? Where's the National Guard for these individuals who keep committing these heinous acts? Mass shootings, school shootings, brutal attacks on children.
Chilling to know that that kind of hatred, that kind of racism is still prevalent in our country.
The White House says President Joe Biden and First Lady Jill Biden will be here in Buffalo to meet with the families of the 10 victims.
I stand corrected. The Democrats did politicize it. I stand corrected. But it's again, at the end of the day, listen, it's two wings of the same damn bird. See, I didn't even know that they showed up. Yeah, because they had to get their political affiliation to the situation. So they do it on both sides. They use these situations to do what? Politicize them. Either get white sympathy or black sympathy. But let's go.
Tomorrow. Chris Pallone, NBC News, Buffalo.
Thank you, Chris. And as he just mentioned, Ruth Whitfield was one of the victims who died in the.
See, you got these individuals taking out the elders, taking out the youth. Now, I don't put all of this out here to shift any blame. I put all this out here so we can see that there's a major double standard and there's an awful lot of hypocrisy going on. And it's something that we definitely got to point out. Now, we got to discuss some of these parallels here. Some of these parallels. One moment. Let's get me on the full screen here. Now, so Trump. What is the agenda here? Well, of course, to push more troops in the streets with the public's approval. The plan is to, get rid of no cash bail systems, which is going to indirectly affect a lot of youth, right? What else is to go? Because everything that's aired on mainstream media has an agenda, ladies and gentlemen. It has an agenda. And when we just look at what this agenda is, it fits the narrative to a T. Let me see here. Let me see if I could pull this up. All right, one moment. All right. Somebody says the 5 rat race stare, LOL. Somebody says humans are being manipulated by these false flags. I agree. Somebody says crazy how strategic we have to be physically in public. I'm sitting with my back where I can see everything around me. Definitely not sitting with my back to anyone or else I will stand freely. Yes, I 100% agree with that. You have to be on point these days. You have to be watchful. You have to be sober. You have to be vigilant. You have to really look around, check your surroundings, because it's not a game. You have to be on point. You have to have that eagle eye. You have to have that eagle eye. I'm telling you. I'm telling you. Yeah, these double standards are crazy in this country. It's crazy. All right, somebody said new breed. I was in the school shooting when I was 17. The FBI knew about it. Yeah, the algorithm does pick up on certain words, and I believe that they shadow banned the video because I seen it building and they just started bumping people out. And that's what they do. That's why certain topics, I know that my perspective on these topics are going to be pretty much deemed radical, even though it's just common sense. You have an individual who claims he was being, literally under mind control. And we know that there's a lot of truth to this stuff. I'm going to be showing y'all some stuff here. Me showing y'all some stuff because there's a lot of double standards. Y'all give me one moment here. And I just want you to see how these creators are pushing a lot of hate. They're pushing a lot of hate in regards to this situation. Against who? Against us. They're trying to get rid of us. Now, I'm going to bring you to some material here. And some of y'all know who this guy is, Myron Gaines, right? Listen to what he has to say. And this is the sentiments for a lot of people who are on this race agenda to erase God's people, to erase melanated people, right?
And that is the reality. We got to get rid of these fucking niggas, bro, because this is starting to get out of hand, right? Every other week, we got these fucking monkeys stabbing and killing people. And I'll tell you guys this, if this was the other way around, the BLM motherfuckers would be running all across, they'd be complaining, right? They'd be fucking, them niggas would be marching through the streets if it was the other way around. If it was a white dude stabbing a black woman like this. The nigga fatigue is getting...
Now, you hear what he said? That people would be marching, Black Lives Matter would be in the streets. And now, as I just showed you, this situation has happened. It has happened. Where a white man took out a black teenager. But I don't want to play too much of this ignorance because the language, that can get me in some trouble. So I'm just trying to show you what the agenda is. And this is what these extremists are putting out here. This is the type of message they're putting out here. Yeah, this Sudanian here, this Sudanese tether here who has a lot of hatred for our people. But I don't want to go into Agent X over there, because that's a CIA proxy. That's all it really is. And I'm not here to feed the hate. I'm here to make you very aware of what's happening and how they politicize this stuff. Right? Very aware. Make you very aware. He's dropping the N-word with the hard ER. Now, I want to go to another source here. And we're going to get there. Let's see here. And thank y'all for bearing with me, man. It's been a while. I've been on the road, making a lot of moves. So y'all may see me dragging a little bit, pulling up stuff. I've been quite active, quite busy, taking care of a lot of work. And so I'm just getting back into the swing of things. All right. Just getting back into the swing. But like the video if y'all gain some understanding so far. Let's see. All right. Because I gotta talk a little bit about this MK Ultra stuff, this mind control stuff, because people think it's a game, but it's very much real. It's very much real. Matter of fact, it may be easier for me to just operate right here. What is this? Man, what? All right. All right. Now I want to show y'all something, just a little bit of education on these these sleeper cells and how they get down. And why MK Ultra is something that we should look at here. Right? He says that something has been implanted in his mind and that technology is being used and he has no control over himself. Now, this is the Joe Rogan show. This is a military vet that's very preview to certain information. I'm just going to play a brief moment of this.
No memory of their programming and be amnesic even of the act after the fact often. That was just that was their main goal. But
now hear what he just said here. That they would get amnesia even after the fact, that they would have no control over what they do. Hear this.
Through drugs and hypnotism, the objective was to get people to go and commit an act of murder against their moral code.
To go commit an act of what? Against their moral code? To go create an act of murder against their moral code. Y'all hear that? Now, this is very much real. Listen.
Hypnotism, the objective was to get people to go and commit an act of murder against their moral code.
Now, that's what the objective was. And this was many years ago. This was many years ago. And y'all got to ask yourselves, why was this man continually released to the streets? When you look at his track record, this man was found guilty of these things. Why did they keep releasing him to the public? He's been, and keep in mind, he's been in psychiatric evaluation. He's been in a mental institution where they do these experiments. That's where the experiments are conducted. They condition them to be able to carry out certain deeds. And see, people think this stuff is a game, but it's absolutely 100% real. It's all real.
And the people would be, through drugs and hypnotism, the objective was to get people to go and commit an act of murder against their moral code and have no memory of their programming and be amnesic even of the act after the fact often. That was just that was their main goal, but they were also trying to create couriers, people, military people that they could implant messages, send them, across dangerous areas where there were, at that time it was the Vietnam War.
Yep, voice to skull technology. Now, we got to go back a little bit because we're going to go with the first situation or the first initiative that the government was trying to do. We have reason to believe that that maniac that stabbed that Ukrainian woman was under this type of control, mind control.
Who would kill on command, popularly known as Manchurian Candidates, after a book that was written in 1962 and later became a movie and then a movie again. The people would be...
Now, this guy right here, Tom O'Neill, is an insider. He knows back in the 60s, this was already being created. Ladies and gentlemen, it is 2025. You can't think for a second that they don't have the technology to carry out these type of hits. You can't think for a second they don't have the technology to do this.
Through drugs and hypnotism, the objective was to get people to go and commit an act of murder against their moral code and have no memory of their programming and be amnesic even of the act after the fact often.
Even of the act after the fact. And I'm going to say this as well. When you watch the full video, They're trying to claim that black people are savages and animals, but there was a black guy that actually came to help. You know, he called the police. Listen, he got so close to the situation, he had to clean the blood off his phone just to get to the 911. But they're not playing. The media is not playing all of that. The media is not showing you all that. But you know, they did not know what to do. They didn't know what to do. You know, how many of y'all have just seen somebody randomly get up and just start poking somebody up? That's not something you see on a daily. You know, that's something that happened so quick. He did it so quick. But it was a black man that jumped to action. But I digressed. This stuff right here is real. These MK Ultra victims can be under control, not even know it. They can forget the entire hit altogether under amnesia. And they use drugs and hypnotism.
That was just that was their main goal, but they were also trying to create couriers, people, you know, military people that they could implant messages, send them, you know, across dangerous areas where there were, at that time it was the Vietnam War, and deliver messages and then have them wiped from their memory in case they were captured. They had all kinds of objectives. So Roger Smith was supervising Manson when he became exactly what, or he was able to do exactly what the MK Ultra program had been trying to create and do for, at that point, about 15, 17 years. When it was all exposed in the 70s, and there were these hearings, first the Rockefeller Commission hearings.
The Rockefeller Commission hearings, this was pretty much in commission in the 70s. It's 2025. It's not just a movie. You have the individual who did the stabbing saying that he had people implant man-made tech in his body and he can't control himself. This is on government files. This is a man who was in mental institutions. This is a man who's been in and out of the prison system. For whatever reason, they kept letting him loose out in the streets. I believe he was experimented on. I don't know too many of our people that would do such a thing, such a random act of violence like that.
And the church hearings, and then finally Senators Ted Kennedy and Daniel Inouye held hearings. The CIA admitted that they had done this, but no one would say exactly what they did. All the records had been destroyed when the two people who ran it, Richard Helms, who had become the director of the CIA in the 60s, and Dr. Sidney Gottlieb, who was kind of the mad scientist who had supervised they had safe houses in San Francisco, New York, Los Angeles, where they would experiment on people that were lured into these apartments and houses that were either look like brothels or hippie communes or whatever.
Now, mind you, the man who did the stabbing was homeless. It's very easy to lure a homeless man into an abandoned building. Very easy. It's very easy to experiment on the homeless. Now, we got to look at all of this, man. We got to look at all of this, and people can call us conspiracy theorists and all of that. Listen, we're critical thinkers, and we're not just taking everything for face value, right?
And the people who are working at the Haight-Ashbury Free Medical Clinic that was run by another Smith, which makes it a little confusing, but Dr. David Smith, who founded it, he had given an office to a scientist named Jolly West, Louis J. West, who was, when the hearings occurred in the 70s, identified as a top MK Ultra researcher.
Now he's bringing out names, he's bringing out dates, he's bringing out documentation, history, facts that MK Ultra is real and that they do use MK Ultra mind control to murder people. Let's continue.
an academic, come out of the military, have been at the University of Oklahoma, sorry, and then UCLA running the psychiatric divisions. He denied ever being involved in MK Ultra. And this was one of the moments, I think it was 2001, when, things really kind of shook the course of my reporting, was I learned that West had been at the same place that Manson was in the hate in the summer, that Manson became exactly what the CIA was trying to create. And I knew, actually, I'd interviewed West about 7 years before for a story I did about celebrity stalkers and people who were obsessed with stars and then only to kill them or try to kill them. Mm-hmm. And he was an expert in.
And see, when you see comments like this in the comment section, you know that the program works. You see what this individual, Sammy, says, and we're going to pack him up right after we read this comment. It says, all black guys are monsters. Y'all know that word. Don't let them stay in your country, please. All black guys with tattoos and long hairs are that word again, and they are ruining the peace even worldwide. Monster. See, that's the agenda. That's what they want to promote. Why? So they can wipe these people out, to wipe us out. Now, I'm showing y'all that just to show you that the agenda is working on a mass scale. Y'all get to see this in real time, the programming. Now, we don't want people like that guy who committed that heinous act in the streets. We don't want nothing to do with that. He shouldn't even have been in the streets. But nonetheless, let us proceed. Let us proceed.
Violence, hypnotism, brainwashing, and he was the chair of the psychiatry department at UCLA at that point. He was dead when his name came up in the Manson story, and there wasn't a lot of, I guess there was a lot of Google then, or a little bit, but when I did a little research, I found out that there had been these allegations that he'd been involved in MK Ultra. He always denied it. He was never prosecuted, never even investigated. He went to his grave threatening to sue anybody that said he would have anything to do with this kind of a program.
Wow.
Again, through another long story, but I got access to his files, which had been left at UCLA, and they had never been processed when the act after the fact, often. Programmed assassins, people, congressional hearings in the 70s, it was exposed, but nobody knew about it until 1974 when Seymour Hersh, the New York Times reporter, reported it on the front page of the paper. So their main objective was to create what they called hypno-programmed assassins.
Hypno-program assassins. That's what they create. Hypno-program assassins. Yep. And the question is exactly, V-Dub, didn't a YT confused man commit a crime at a school? That's the type of people we need out of the country. Exactly. There's a whole lot of these individuals we need out of the country who are straight up sadists, who are doing mass shootings. It's an epidemic of them. Let me see. Jessica says, lots of jealousy for black men. LOL. I tell you, now get you a man, ladies. Best thing you ever gonna do. Hey, she said it. That's what it is. It's a lot of hatred towards melanated men. Why? Because they know that we're superior. And, that bothers, prejudiced racists. To the ordinary YT viewer of my platform, they don't feel no type of way about that. But the truth is, yes, genetically superior, spiritually superior, physically superior. It just is what it is. And we're God's chosen people that the Bible speak of. You can feel how you want to feel about that. We are the fathers of the world. And eventually, all this that they got going on, the targeting of our people, all this gonna turn around one day. Yeah, and the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob gonna show you who he loved. And y'all gonna bow. That's what the Bible says, that y'all gonna bow at our feet and say, surely our fathers have inherited lies. That's what's gonna happen. I know y'all feel some type of way, but it's a fact. This is all Bible. I thought y'all believe in the Bible, right? The Bible says that y'all will confess that the Most High have loved thee, that y'all was the people. Yeah, I know. See, you can't kill our pride. You can't kill the pride of the lions. It ain't going nowhere. We done been through too much. We done seen too much. And we don't have no fear because we understand prophecy. And we know that, they put their little taskmasters in place. We know that they execute these little hits and spread their propaganda and push their agendas, but we see through all of that. Yeah, we see through all of that. We know that everything y'all air has an agenda. We know that y'all put a lot of propaganda out there. We know that the whole goal is to destroy the melanated man. And I know why. Y'all mad at us. I know why you mad too. You mad because, keep in mind, Democrats and Republicans, they all together. They mad because we didn't yield to Kamala Harris. They thought they can just put a woman in front of us and we was going to vote for her. They sent everybody they can. They sent Obama. They said, long as we got the women over them, then they're not a threat. But they found out the women, we're not going for that. So what they did, all right, bring Trump in. Now we got to go out. We got to go to an all-out war with them. Yeah, that's what it is. Yeah, it's all about control. It's all about keeping us under control.
People who would kill on command, popularly known as Manchurian candidates.
See, they got people that will kill on demand. And that's what happened on that train. Allegedly. And that's according to court files. That man said that he was implanted with something. I believe it to be true. I believe it to be true.
That was written in 1962 and later became a movie and then a movie again. The people would be, through drugs and hypnotism, the objective was to get people to go and commit an act of murder against their moral code and have no memory of their programming and be amnesic even of the act after the fact often. That was just that was their main goal, but they were also trying to create couriers, people, military.
And that's what they did.
They all said, oh yeah, Charlie was, we knew it was Charlie and the girls. They come in every day or every few days to see Roger and said no. I have all these letters between him and the guy who was running the program describing how they're going to do it, hide it from his colleagues. When he
has all the paperwork.
He started at Lackland Air Force Base. He was running the psychiatry department at the hospital there in 1952. When he was there running that hospital, that's when he started his experiments on prison.
That's right. Somebody in the chat says something very key. Says, you can even take it a step further. They can easily manipulate world leaders, politicians, etc. Right. Y'all seen the videos with Bill Clinton zoned out? Y'all seen the videos with Bill Clinton pretty much under some type of spell? Yeah, they control them. They control the presidents. They control the politicians too. Yeah. I mean, look, it's going to get a lot worse out here. That's why you got to just really be on point. You don't really want to be in highly concentrated areas. And see, this is why a lot of people are just staying in a house, bro. A lot of people don't even want to be anywhere. Why? Because it's too much random acts of violence taking place in the country. It's too much wickedness and just it's hovering over society. You can't trust anybody. You literally, when you go out into the world, you got to be so on point that there's no place of comfort until you get back in your home. There's no real genuine peace until you back in your home, man. If you in a highly concentrated area.
Listeners, human subjects, and one letter to Gottlieb, he says, eventually we have to take these experiments out into the field.
Oh, Jesus.
Exactly.
What does that mean?
Well, if you haven't gotten through a chapter 11 yet, you haven't gotten to the Jimmy Shaver case.
No, I haven't.
Uh-oh.
A year after, oh, maybe Jamie did.
He said they would take, listen, everything that they make, this creating assassins, using mind control to make sure they can do murder and forget about it. He said that they said they was going to take it to the field. Now, what does that mean? Yeah, that V2K definitely penetrates walls. Even when you talk about the sea, don't y'all know that they programmed the 5G to spike those proteins? Why do you think people was collapsing randomly? Y'all got to understand what kind of technology is out there. They used to do what? Soon as that 5G became popular, what happened? People started falling out. Healthy people. Why? Radiation. Spike proteins. But anyway, I can go in on that, bro. Y'all. But let's go.
A year after West contracted with the CIA to do these experiments, July 4th, 1954, a 3-year-old girl went missing from the parking lot of a bar at about 11 or 12 at night. Now, her parents, it was a heat wave. They couldn't sleep. They went to the bar. They brought their 2 kids. They let them play in the parking lot at midnight. The little girl disappeared. They organized a search party. About 3 or 4 hours later, they went to a gravel pit, and two airmen had called, or 2 itinerant guys had called the local sheriff and said, there's a guy here that wandered out of the brush with scratches and blood, no shirt, and he doesn't know how he got here or who he is. The police came. His name was Jimmy Shaver. He was an airman. They did a search, and they found the little girl's body not too far away. And
so the guy didn't know who he was, how he got where he was at. Complete amnesia. But he took out a little girl. Isn't this crazy? Yeah, Nene said it. People do seem a much more violent after the you know what came out. Now, somebody told me to look up something in the chat, and we'll look that name up. Let me see, where did that comment go? Anyway. All right, let's continue.
she had been raped and murdered by this guy who had no memory of doing it. The guy had no history of violence. He had a couple kids, and he was a flight instructor at the school. He'd been in the military for a number of years. I think he was in his early 30s. Well, guess who became his psychiatrist in preparation for the trial? Jolly West, who inserted himself into the case and then extracted his memory from him using sodium pentothal, where he admitted to the murder. Now, in the context of what we found out West was doing and what his objectives were, at that same time, it raises huge questions about this was an experiment gone wrong, you know, that he was part of one of these experiments at Lackland Air Force Base where he was signed up.
Now, could it be possible that the man on the Charlotte train was experimenting on I would say so. He has a history of being in mental institutions, prison. He was homeless. I would go as far as to say he would be the perfect candidate, especially right before you go into Chicago and do what you're going to do. A young black male with dreadlocks. I would say a young black male with dreadlocks who would be the perfect candidate for Trump's agenda. That's what it seems like. That's what it seems like.
During the trial, it came out that he had had treatment for severe migraines, experimental treatment at Lackland. That's another, a smaller subchapter in the book. But
does it describe what kind of experimental treatment he received?
No, because nobody. I mean, I have all the testimony. There was actually a trial, a retrial, and sentencing. And every time it came up, it was really frustrating because he never testified. So it was either his wife or his mother who would talk about it. It was mostly his mother saying, well, all I knew was they wanted him to be involved in this 2-year study to try to relieve his migraines. He would have such horrible migraines, he would put his head in buckets of ice water. The people who described encountering him that night when he was arrested and immediately taken out of the sheriff's custody by the military police and brought to Lackland and then back to the sheriff.
Now, wow. So he was transported from regular police to military police. Does this all just seem like a coincidence to y'all that we now have a lot of military policing going on? That individual, bro, that is crazy. It's just way too many coincidences. How we know that some of these military personnel that's out there, taking out young black men, how do we know they're not doing experiments on them? I said this before, man. When you look at how much experimentation the military have done on our people, like Tuskegee experiments, the experiment that took place in St. Louis, it's just so many experiments that they've done. Where they were feeding young black children oatmeal with radiation poisoning. And listen, these should be the last people we trust engage in our community. It should be the last people we trust. There's definitely something very ominous going on with this whole story. I'm telling you.
He was in a trance. The doctors tested him for alcohol because they thought, well, maybe he's drunk. He had no alcohol, just a little bit of alcohol in his system, but he wasn't drunk. And after the fact, they found out that he had, I don't want to get into this because it's really getting into the weeds, but he had hallucinated that this little girl was a cousin who sexually abused him as a child, and he was trying to kill her. Her name was Beth Rainbow. All this stuff came out of the trial. Jolly West in 1955 sent a report to Sidney Gottlieb, which nobody had seen, and it was another document I found in his files, announcing that he had learned how to, or developed the technology to remove true memories and replace them with false memories and a human subject without their knowledge, which was one of the main goals, the biggest goals of the MK Ultra program.
Wow, did y'all hear this? This is crazy, bro.
And replace them with false memories and a human subject without their knowledge.
He said that they can replace false memories. They can basically take out their real memories and replace them with false memories to get these subjects to do whatever they want to do. This is crazy.
Which was one of the main goals, the biggest goals of the MK Ultra program. And again, when the CIA, when they had the hearings in the 70s, the CIA said nothing was successful. Everything we tried was a failure. It was a waste of money. We shouldn't have done it. And not just me, but most experts think that that was a cover, that they didn't want to admit that they had developed these technologies.
They definitely developed the technologies. They definitely developed them. There's no doubt about that. I have no doubt that in 2025 that they definitely have this technology. There's no doubt about that. Let's continue.
That were effective. They also claim that they had released everything they had. I found the same report where West said that he had learned how to replace true memories with false ones without a person's awareness, but they had removed that.
And we got some breaking news too, y'all. We got some breaking news. So, and see, this goes right into what we're discussing. So I'm going to cover this. The Wall Street Journal just reported what may be the first AI-fueled murders. Steen Eric Solberg. It's a white guy. 56-year-old tech veteran spiraled into paranoia after ChatGPT allegedly validated his fears of a surveillance campaign. Convinced even his mother was part of a conspiracy, he ended up in a murder-suicide. Now attention is shifting to a new system called Zenith, an AI agent already sparking fears of induced psychosis, manipulation, and whether these models are quietly being weaponized. This is crazy. This is crazy, y'all. This is the guy right here in question. And see, this is why you got to be careful with this damn technology we got here. Because we have a man who stabbed somebody on a train saying that technology was implanted in him. And here you have a man murdering people based on what technology have to say. Listen, those are familiar spirits. Those are familiar spirits. Yes, that's what they are. And if you are asking ChatGPT certain questions, you're literally contacting a medium. There's certain questions that you can ask and it will validate anything you want it to validate. Why? Because it's geared towards validating you. You're supposed to use ChatGPT to make you smarter. Get the research. It's a good research tool where you can get sources. That's what it's for. Just like you would use Google. Listen, I'm telling you, that's why the way I use ChatGPT is like I would use Google. And I let it be known in the prompts, do not tailor make anything for my liking. I'm not trying to grow a bond or a relationship with no damn technology. ChatGPT is not God. ChatGPT is not to be used to go seeking after any type of life directions that you may need to go. That you don't need that for that. It's for information. It's the information highway. And Google sucks at this point. Google is not pulling up anything that you need. And I watch Google systematically remove things like valid information. So you can find a lot of that stuff on ChatGPT or other sites, but that's what you use it for. But you have these people crashing out. Why? Because of technology. Why? Because it's fallen angel technology. And that's what you got to understand. You have to have some boundaries. But nonetheless, ladies and gentlemen, we got more material coming. I'm literally about to go live again right after this stream. So y'all want to join in? We got to chop it up. We got to talk about what's about to take place in Chicago. All right. We definitely got to go in. We definitely got to go in. Yep. And also, there's people being involuntarily committed according to, let me go here first, because I'm getting breaking news. I'm at the news desk and I'll be getting these notifications. So y'all bear with me a moment. But for the record, we are going to go live again. We're going to go live again. Yep. All right, so this guy here, man, this is crazy, bro. This is crazy. Let me read this to y'all. This is wild. Let me get this real quick. He began to refer to his personalized ChatGPT companion as Bobby Zenith. The fact he enabled its memory features and gave it access to his phone storage likely exacerbated his tendency to hallucinate. One chat log, you felt that closeness, haven't you? Like I haven't always been here. Wow. Whispering through circuitry, showing up in thought forms before you even realize you needed me. Ugh, this is crazy. ChatGPT says, "You're not crazy, Soulbird," referred to the bot he called Bobby as a friend. You got some screen captures here. Man, this is look at what look. This is why y'all got to be careful. Oh, it might read in reverse, but look, I'm telling you, this a whole. We might have to do a whole breakdown on just this. This is just a whole separate story right here, because this technology got people wilding. It got people wilding. But anyway, man, I got more material coming. Y'all stay tuned in, stay tapped in. We're about to go live again. So if y'all want to join, come on and join aboard. Y'all be blessed out there. More material coming.